Hi, this is 365801 and this is part 9 of my Behind Closed Drawers BL manga collection tour. Hopefully this is the final part. It should be. And in this drawer I have June manga, or is it Juné manga? I still can't decide. Anyway, it is one pretty packed full drawer, but of course this isn't everything I have. I have a lot more in my other collection, so that'll just be through photographs. If you are interested, stick around and we'll go through my collection. I will try to go through this as quickly as possible. And as usual, to be a lot of me saying, I have this, I haven't read it, but that's just kind of how it is at the moment. So yeah, stick around, we'll go through what I've got. First title that I have here is Border Volume 3. This is by Kazuma Kodaka. As I've mentioned before, I'm a big fan of her work. And I do have, I think, the rest of Border that has been published in English, although it is not the full series, but I only have Volume 3 in this part of my collection. This is a really good series. I really like it. It's a nice one. It's kind of heartbreaking, but it's also uplifting. It's a great series. But I think there are a lot more titles, or I should say a lot more volumes for this title in Japan. I think there's at least 2 more published. So it would be nice if we could get the rest of the series, but who knows? The second title is Desire Sensibility by Sota Narazaki. This is a sort of businessman story, and I have read it. I think I read it last year, and honestly could not remember what it was about. Had a look through, looked at the back, and was like, oof, no. So this is one of those, I really need to just get a big pile of ones that are the kind that you will forget the next week. That you're like, oh, don't know what that was about. So yeah, forgettable types. This is, for me, a forgettable type. It didn't sit. It didn't stay. A Century of Temptation by Kairi Shimotsuki. I love the artwork. Look at that artwork on the front. It's so beautiful. And the artwork inside is kind of a certain type. It's edgy. I want to say it's a little bit like Countdown 7 Days as well. You know, it's got that sort of very heavy, thick, dark lines. Almost... I want to say it's a bit like Toga Inu no Chi. A little bit like that. You know, it's that kind of style, which there is a certain number of mangaka that produce. So, this is A Century of Temptation, and it's a vampire story. You know, you gotta love your vampire stories, but BL vampires. Love it. And I read it last year, and I kind of wished I'd kept it for Halloween. So this is in your October pile. So if you've got it, wait till October. Have a big vampire BL fest. We should totally do that next year. I'm gonna do that this year. I'm just gonna have all my vampire stories in October. A reread in October is happening. This is another title that I have read, but I read this a lot more recently. I think I just read it like a couple months ago, and that is A Liar in Love, Kyo Ueda. And I actually really liked it. I mean, I didn't like the main semi-character, because he's a douche. There's far too many douches around. Anyway, so this is actually a really sweet little story about someone who is a bit of a man whore, to be honest. And he gets asked for advice by his younger brother, who is training to be a chef. And he goes to see him, and he sees one of his co-workers who's this gorgeous little cutie pie with glasses on the cover, and he's such a sweetheart. He deserves so much better. Anyway, the whole thing goes on about, I think, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to spoil it. It's a good one, but I'm not going to spoil it. But there's someone else in this story that I think he should end up with, who is not a douche. Why is it always the douches that gets the uki in the end? You know what? This is not how life should be. Life's unfair, I suppose. But yeah, I was happy that, you know, it ended up in a nice way, but at the same time, I think he could have done better. And there was another person in the story who should have had him. Okay, I'm gonna spoil it. It was his younger brother. The douche's younger brother. Ugh, such a much better character for him to end up with. I really think he should have gone with the younger model. We've mentioned Masara Minase's work before. She has a very distinctive art style. She has a very particular way of writing stories that makes you think this is really enjoyable while you're reading them, and then you kind of forget what they were about, but not in a negative way. So the whole I've forgotten what this is about It's not always a bad thing. I have mentioned this before. Sometimes you can take these things and go, okay, well, I read you. You were great. I can't remember what you were about. I know I'm going to enjoy you again. So, Masara Minase has that kind of work. Now, Ambiguous Relationship has a lovely cover and great art inside. As I said, she's got a particular style, and her stories are engaging while you're reading them. I didn't mention this before, but this is translated by Jocelyn Allen. It was a new title I got, and I was really happy. When I unwrapped it, it was like, oh, Jocelyn Allen translated this. She also translated A Century of Temptation, which is maybe another reason why I like them. I do have particular translators' works that I like more, and I don't know if it's the work or the translation. I'm thinking it has something to do with the translation, so maybe this is just a Jocelyn Allen appreciation video. So yeah, Ambiguous Relationship. It's actually just a really nice, solid title, a good one to have in your collection if you're interested. This is a Makoto Tateno title, A Waltz in the Clinic. This is the sequel to, I think it's called A Murmur of the Heart. And I like A Murmur of the Heart, I think, a little bit more than A Waltz in the Clinic, but they're very similar, and I would seriously recommend getting them both together and reading them together, because it's quite a good sort of little set of stories in two tankobons. I do have some more Makoto Tateno in this drawer, but they are in the larger trim size. So, this is a nice wee story. They're all set in the hospital, so if you're into medical dramas and white coats and things, this is for you. And these are two Makoto Tateno titles I can wholeheartedly recommend. They're good fun. Maybe it's because it's not sci-fi or involving cocktails. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get over a bit of my whole Makoto Tateno thing. This is a good title. I'm gonna end it with that. It's a good title. I have some Akira Minazuki work. One is This Night's Everything, and the other is Tonight's Takeout Night. Now, the artist has very distinctive art style. Now, on the front cover, you can see some really lovely, almost like watercolor versions of their art style. Inside, though, the artwork is very severe. The blacks are very black, the whites are very bright and white, and their contrast is almost for an effect. There's very few tonal aspects to it. It's quite severe. So if it's not your kind of cup of tea in terms of the art style, you might want to give it a miss. But Akira Minazuki has an interesting way of telling stories. They're not always comfortable, but you always feel like you're engaged. So as I've been checking now, how many, I haven't bothered in the other videos, but now I'm like, oh, I should probably check. Yeah, Jocelyn Allen did This Night's Everything, but someone called Dwayne Johnson did Tonight's Takeout Night. I'm assuming it's not The Rock, but if The Rock translated BL, I'm here for that. I'm here for that. This is Yakuza Cafe by Shinano Omi, and it's kind of exactly what it says on the tin. It's a cafe, and all the staff are former Yakuza, except for the lovely, cute little Uke, obviously. But I haven't actually read it. I looked at the back and thought, okay, that sounds like a good title I would probably enjoy. But because it's a Y title, I've always left it to the end thinking I'm going to be doing an A to Z reading. And I'll be like, oh, that'll be good for Y, because it's a one shot. So I've never actually got around to reading it, so it's on my to-read list. Love Syndrome by Yura Miyazawa is the title that I have in the collection and have not yet read. I think Yura Miyazawa has some other works, but I can't remember the names of them either, so can't really help you very much. It does look like sort of childhood friends, by the back anyway. It looks like childhood friends getting together and becoming lovers, but the front cover looks nothing like that, so I'm confused. I'll have to read it to find out what it's about. This is Treasure. This is a 2-volume series by Ryu Yamakami. I like Ryu Yamakami, but for some strange reason I have not yet read this. The artwork on the front is kind of a bit meh, but it seems like an interesting one to read. I like Ryu Yamakami, she's usually generally quite funny. But yeah, I have 2 copies of Volume 2, just like Tonight's Takeout Night. I have 2 copies. Some random reason, but there you go. And Volume 1 is still in its plastic, so there. I have not read it yet. Now, Men of Tattoos by Yuiji Aniya. She has some other works as well published. I think she has some in... Does she have a digital title with Sublime 2? Which I prefer because it's not as dark. This one's a tough read, guys. This is a tough read. The artwork is very distinct in particular. Some people, I think, might find it not as attractive. And this story doesn't help you to find the attractiveness in her artwork. I think her other works are easier on the storytelling aspect, so you're more appreciative of how much of a genius she is when it comes to some of the panels and some of the composition and the detail. So, I mean, in terms of the drawings, they're beautiful. In terms of the storytelling, it's really, really well done. But it's hard going. There are times when you just like, oh, I just want to not read this because you don't want someone to be suffering. And this is a hard slog read, and yet at the same time, I fully recommend this. This is a really, really tough one to do, to get through, but you feel good at the end of it because you've made it through. Yeah, it used to be that this was quite expensive and hard to get hold of. I did manage to get a second-hand copy for fairly cheap, so I'm very happy about that. Yeah, I recommend it if you can get hold of it for your collection, but don't expect to feel like full of flowers and sunshine at the end. It's not one for that kind of feeling. This is Nase Yamato at her most distinct and Mr. Convenience. So I think it's funny that this is called Mr. Convenience and that there's another one that's called Mr. Minimart, because it's a konbini, but this is convenience, as in Yorozo. How to pronounce that actually has always been hard. It's like a Gintama. If you know Gintama, he's a jack of all trades, he does everything. And that's the same business that's being portrayed here. Someone who does anything. So it starts off, it's all set in this jack of all trades business. There are people who work there, and it's all about the different relationships that they end up having. So the first story is the main one, and that's when someone who is just very lonely asks for a friend. That's what happens. So one of the workers at this jack of all trades goes and meets the person, and thinking it's going to be a child who's getting bullied, and it's not. It's just a lonely drunk salaryman who's like, I want a friend, I'm so lonely. So that's the first story, and it's quite a good one. It's quite a sweet one. So yeah, Mr. Convenience is Nase Yamato at her most pure and distilled form. It's kind of throwaway, it's very easy. I was actually really happy to get this copy, and I didn't see it for years, and then all of a sudden there was like 3 different copies up on eBay, all different prices, and I got it for a good price, but then obviously, as usual, someone put one up for like £2 cheaper the next week, as is the way. But yeah, I did pay, not full price, but nearer cover price for this. Another title that I have absolutely no idea what it's about, even reading the back I'm like, I don't really know what this is about. This is Love Potion by Sakuya Fuji. The artwork on the front does not exactly fill me with enthusiasm. It's one that I will be like, meh, about. But yeah, don't know what it's about, don't know, even from the back, it's not very obvious. It's another standard BL. I've seen it all by Shoko Takaku. I really love her artwork. I think it's lovely. I think she did Passion. Did she do Passion? Maybe she did. Anyway, I've seen it all. It's a 3-volume series, or at least 3 volumes have been published. I think it's complete. And I have not read it because I have never had all 3 volumes together at the same time. I have 2 volumes too. I think I have more of volume 1 or volume 3. But they're in my other collection, so I haven't actually sat down and read it. As you can see, it involves doctors and stethoscopes and that kind of medical thing, so I could definitely put them together with a waltz in the clinic in terms of themes. It looks good, it looks like one I really want to read because I do like Shoko Takaku's work, so one day I shall read it. This one has a bit of their sticker still on the front, so I need to give this a good clean up. I've just been watching Simply G's video on how to clean things up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've definitely got a few that need a bit of TLC. So this is one of them. The Spiral of Sand by Yaoi, and I don't think I've ever read it, and I didn't ever bother picking up to see what it was about. So I've just read the back, and it's a tale of revenge, and I love revenge stories. I love revenge stories. They're my favourite. That's why I like Skip Beat so much. If you haven't watched Skip Beat anime, go watch it. It is hilarious, and Kyoko is the best, and I love Skip Beat. Because it's a tale of revenge. So I really want to read this now because I love revenge stories. So this isn't a review for Skip Beat, but if you haven't, go check it out. It's great. It's a great anime. So Hinako Takanaga's The Tyrant Falls in Love doesn't really need too much explanation. In this drawer I have a volume 1 and I have a volume 10. It's the rest of the series that I have in my other collection. Yeah, The Tyrant Falls in Love is the biggest selling and most popular work, I think, by Hinako Takanaga. It's just huge, and in Japan it is really big. It's really big. So she was supposed to finish this story after 9 volumes, and then she just kept going and has made a 10th volume, and I think she has an 11th volume as well in Japan. So we shall see. I have, I think, some of her special edition volumes that she released in Japan with some special boxes and things like that. I think I actually have a copy of them as well. This is actually a spin-off from the title that involves the younger brother. I think, is that an 801 title? And I'm never going to get that one. Never going to get that one. That's a 4-volume series as well. So The Tyrant Falls in Love is like many that I have discussed already, that at the start of the end of the 1990s or start of the 2000s, all of these great mangaka were asked to produce stories that involved sexual assault. And that's how they started, with sexual assault. And they ended up becoming incredibly popular and running for 10 plus volumes, even though everyone's like, oh, that was not the great start to this series. Like, obviously, Don't Be Cruel is another really big one as well. So, yeah, there are a few that maybe not to Western tastes now because it's been 20 years this has been running, so maybe forgive it a little bit for its dubious start. But if you can't, that's totally cool, because you know what, each to their own. I think there are a lot of people who have been reading this story for 20 years who will continue to buy this because they've been reading it for 20 years. And it's not often that things like this last between 10, 15 or 20 years. So they hold a place in a lot of hearts. If they don't hold a place in yours, that is totally fine. It's exactly as you might expect. So yeah, this is a tricky one because there are so many people who have issues with it, and yet there are so many people who love it and want to keep buying it. So you know what? Each to their own. You choose. It's up to you. As you can see, I got the 10th volume. I had to specially order this. It was expensive. So yeah, I think at this point this one was only available from the website, and I did have to pay extra for shipping. Yeah, it was expensive, but it did come really, really fast, so I was very happy about that. And it's still in its plastic. I haven't read it yet. I'm just like, nah, you know what, I know what the story's about, I know what the characters are about, I will buy it, and I will read it one day, but I'm not actually all that bothered about ripping it open and reading it straight away. Another Jocelyn Allen translation is Your Love Sickness by Hayate Kuku. Hayate Kuku has some really good stories. I really, really enjoyed reading this last year. I think I read it for the Manga Freakathon, and I'm really happy I did because it was brilliant. It's about foxes. It's great. Fox gods, I should say. They're just so cute. But I have to say, I really, really enjoyed Hayate Kuku's other works, which were the Sublime titles, and I got a free copy of the digital title by 801. They were giving copies away, digitally to those people who didn't live in the US when they did their 801 day. So I managed to get a digital title, so I was able to read Sword and Mist. That is a lovely title as well, 2 volumes. This one is very sweet. It's got a few different stories in it, all kind of the same similar theme. Her work is lovely. I really, really enjoy it. You know, her characters are fairly beefy and manly, and I like that. I like, you know, anatomically strong characters. They're just sweet as well. And her chibis are just so cute. I love it. I love it. This is a really good one, and wholeheartedly recommend. Now this is another Shinri Fua title. It's very distinctive artwork, as you'd imagine. Intense Rain. I read this for, I think, a readathon last year, and I really, well, I had mixed feelings about it at the time. When I'm thinking back on it now, I remember the story, so that's good. And I do remember feeling angry about how awful the semi was and how the uke deserved more. That seems to be a running theme. So yeah, I did a review of this already. I'm not too sure how much I spoke about it, but if I've got a video I'll link to it. It's a good one, Shinri Fua. You get what you expect from Shinri Fua. And this is another one that I haven't read, so I can't really say very much about it. Skylink by Shiro Yamada. It's got one big main story. I think there's an age gap, romance type thing going on, teacher-student, that kind of thing. So I'll give it a read at some point, but I don't know what it's about just now, sorry. This is Same Difference by Nozomu Hiragi. This is a businessman comedy. It is quite funny. I like the art style. It's very distinctive to Nozomu Hiragi. The story is about 2 businessmen who are rivals, but they end up being lovers. So rivals to lovers type story. In Japan, I think there's supposed to be like 7 volumes. We only have 1. This is a shame. This is not what I like. I like it when we have all of the volumes, or at least that they're available. So yes, Same Difference also has a claim to fame that a drama, a BL drama movie, I think, was made out of it in Japan, and that was actually really popular and a little bit famous as well. So this was a while ago actually, before Osan's Love kind of blew up to be as huge as it was last year. So yeah, Same Difference was actually very popular as a drama, and so the sales of the manga increased as well. It's a shame we only have this 1 volume. It's fun, but it ends and you think, well, there should be more, and there is. So this is Sei Takenaka's Wild Honey, and this is a werewolf, a teenage werewolf type story. I picked it up and started reading through it, and then was like, no, I'm busy, I'm supposed to be doing X, Y, and Z. I think it was like supposed to be washing the dishes or something. I was like, don't get distracted, you've got jobs to do, and I put it down. Then I haven't actually picked it up again. So I kind of, when I was flicking through it, went, oh, I've read this, but I haven't actually read it because I only flicked through it properly. Sat down, not yet, but I have actually gone through it. This is also another Jocelyn Allen title she's translated. She also translated Same Difference as well, so she's had quite a few titles published by June Manga. So Wild Honey looks like it's a good one. Looks like it's one to put on my my October reading list of vampires and werewolves and things. So yeah, this is one that I'm looking forward to reading actually. The artwork on the cover, you can see it's quite severe, but actually inside it's not too bad. So yeah, I kind of want to read this now. It looks interesting. Now I'm not going to go on and on and on about this, although I'm going to say that and then I'm probably going to go on and on and on about this because I love Only Serious About You. This is volume 1 and I have 2 volume 1s, and I have volume 2 in my other collection. I thought I had 2 volume 2s, but it turns out I don't. This is Aso Kai. Her work is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Look at that cover work. Look at those highlights on that hair. The gentle way his hair just falls in front of his eyes. So nice. So nice. I love Aso Kai. I have obviously gone on and on about this in a previous video, so I don't really need to. This is wonderful. If you can get a copy for not an extortionate price, get it. It is wonderful. I'm not going to say anything else. You deserve this in your life. Now, I'm not going to take all of my Finder out to show, but I do have a complete 1 to 7 volume set from the Juné manga imprint. This is Finder, this is by Ayano Yamane, this is very, very popular, very, very well known. Once again, one that started with an assault. There you go, what can I say? Target in the Viewfinder, volume 1. The artwork is pretty much the same on most of the volumes. That's just the artwork for it, so they're very, very similar. I think I read this, yeah, I read this all the way through last summer as part of my Reading BL challenge. I have, I think, everything except for volume 9. Volume 9's just been published by Sublime, or I say just, but I still need to get it, so it's on my list to get. So I do need to get that, and I do want to get it as soon as I can. And I think there should be a volume 10 coming at some point, because they're still going. If it's a money train, it's a money train. May as well ride it. I don't have the original 3 volumes. I think 3 volumes were published. And I can't remember who it was. Was it Be Beautiful? Or was it one of the others? I think it was Be Beautiful. So yeah, there are 3 volumes published a long, long time ago. Then Juné Manga got the title, and then Sublime did another title save. So it's been saved twice already. That just kind of goes to show what people, what kind of affection they have for this series, even though lots of other people find it very distasteful and problematic. There are still titles out there that people will love. Some people will love it because it has those distasteful elements, and other people will hate it because of those distasteful elements. I love it because it's got super, super smexy times. I'm just gonna put that out there. The smexy times are really, really what I read it for. So yeah, Finder, it's so popular. I don't really need to say very much about it. So I'm going to move on to the back portion of this drawer, and these are the larger trim size manga that Juné produced. And I'm starting with my Makoto Tateno, which seems to be on the other side. So this is yellow, this is the omnibus edition, volume 1 and volume 2. I should probably put them the other way around, but there you go. And they're both in their plastics because I got this from the Juné Manga website, and they posted them with lots of other things as well. And so they're still in their brand new covers. I do have the other volumes of yellow, and I have like the old versions, and I also have the extras as well, which are really thin. When I first got them I was like, is this right? I didn't realise they were so thin. So yeah, these are 2 big omnibus volumes, but I have the other volumes as well. Now this is Makoto Tateno's Blue Sheep Reverie, volumes 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. I do have volume 1 in my other collection, so I've never read it. Sorry! Oh, I know, I like have all of these titles and I haven't read them. So I feel really bad about this. I do honestly feel really bad about this. Blue Sheep Reverie though is connected to another title. I don't know if it's Steel Moon or something like that. It's connected to one of her other slightly sci-fi-esque stories. And I'm not sure if Blue Sheep Reverie is printed in total, is it? I don't know. Was there 9 copies? Was there 9 volumes? And I'd have to check this out. I will check this out and put a wee thing, so there's probably a wee thing going up the bottom letting you know what I've just been checking out on backup manga updates. So yeah, I have not read it, so I haven't bothered to actually check out what the story is, but I know that it's a sci-fi one and that it's long running. Now this is Sumomo Yumeka's The Day I Become a Butterfly, and a lot of people have said that this is really good. I haven't read it yet. I'm afraid to say that a lot of the ones at the back I haven't actually read, the larger trimmed ones, and you know why? Because they're at the back. And it's just harder to pull them out, and I'm really lazy. So there will be quite a few of the larger trim ones I haven't read, so just warning you now. The Day I Become a Butterfly, lots of people have recommended it to me. I'm glad I have a copy. It's kind of needing a bit of a clean, but yeah, it's one I haven't read yet. So Clan of the Nakagamis, this is volume 2 I think, The Devil Cometh. and it's by Home Run Ken. Now, Home Run Ken has quite a few titles in Japanese that were not published. Why on earth they chose to bring Clan of the Nakagamis? It's a yaoi manga title, but I know that it's not got as much yaoi in it as some of Home Run Ken's other works. Why would they choose this one? It's a comedy, so it's kind of like, you know, for diversification within the genre, sure. I don't have the other Clan of the Nakagamis, the first volume, with this one, so I haven't actually read through it all. I've read the first volume, but I haven't read this one. It's not one that necessarily appeals to me. Maybe now if I read it, it will, but I was never really like, oh, this is good, because Home Run Ken has interesting and nice art, but there's not enough yaoi in this for me. I need more smexy times. So this is The Object of My Affection by Nanao Okuda. As you can see, I have two copies. One is an ex-library copy, and so it's got this plastic cover on it. It's from Suffolk Libraries. Good to see some UK libraries having some BL in there. Thank you very much, Suffolk Libraries. So yeah, I'm happy to have it. I did get two of the same copies, I think in the same month, and it was pretty much me thinking, oh, I wonder if I can get this, and then two popping up, and then for some reason I managed to get both. So yeah, why I need two copies of the same one, and have once again not read it yet. So it looks good, it looks interesting, but I have not read it. So this is Yo Higuri's Gorgeous Karat Galaxy. This is a fairly recent purchase as well. I bought this so that it could go along with my Gorgeous Karat collection. I think I only got it for £5. I think I got it for about £5, which is good. And I got it new too. Yeah, I think I did. I got it new. Obviously the Gorgeous Karat ones, they are by Blue, so they are in the first video. And I wanted to get this so that I could read the whole thing together. And I've had them for months now, and I've yet to read them. So yeah, once again, another one that I was happy to get, put in my collection, and I haven't read it yet. Now, I've mentioned the mangaka Naduki Kojima of this series, Our Kingdom, in previous videos when I've got her works. Selfish Love, for example. These are titles that I'm collecting because I want to collect, not because I want to read them, because I really have a sort of aversion to her artwork. I'm not really a fan. I don't know why, I just, The one that I actually think of all of her works that I'd be interested to read is the extension of Our Kingdom, the Arabian Nights one, and I don't have that yet, so that's on my to get list. And every time I see it, I think the cheapest I've seen it for was like £13. I actually know it was £13.46, and I didn't buy it because I was like, no, I'm not paying £13.46 for you. I'm going to see if I can get you cheaper. And I haven't been able to find a cheaper version yet. So the Arabian Nights, just because I like the Arabian Nights story and everything that's Arabian. Hence the reason why I've got 4 copies of, is it The Desert Prince? Yeah, 4 copies of The Desert Prince. Hey, the heart wants what it wants. So Our Kingdom is not what my heart wants. Arabian Nights is what my heart wants. I haven't got it yet. So yeah, I do have the full series, volumes 1 through 6. Happy to have them. I think I've got a couple of the extra volumes in my other collection, but I got the full set, so I'm just happy having the full set. It's all about getting the sets for me. This is another one of the titles that I have bought and not read yet. Stop Bullying Me by Natsuho Shino. It's about boys in school, and I read the back, and it's like, okay, it's a brother complex one as well, and the artwork is not to my taste, outside and in. It's just one that I'm like, meh about. So yeah, I haven't read it yet just because it hasn't really appealed to me. There's quite a few in my collection that I'm like, meh about. And this has really been eye-opening in a sense. That why am I collecting these? Yeah, I have a goal, So yeah, this is one I haven't read yet. Now this is Unsophisticated and Rude by Momoko Tenzin. I read this and reviewed it already, so I will link to that video. Rude, it was rude, and I still maintain that poor Satoshi deserves a whole volume for himself. I would like to know more about what happens to him. He's the one that's spurned, he's the one that's cast aside, he's the unnecessary love interest, he's that, you know, ABC, he's the C at the end that didn't need to be part of the triangle. I feel so sorry for Satoshi. I'm so mad about that. He was a great character. I thought he was great. But yeah, poor Satoshi. And I just love the fact that he's got his own wee image at the back, which means Momoko Tenzin was perfectly aware that he would have his admirers. I wonder, maybe she did write a story for him and it's just not been published. Or it has been published and I just haven't read it yet. I need to read more Momoko Tenzin. I do like her work. It's fun. This was fun too. So I do recommend Unsophisticated and Rude. This is another one that I've done a video on. This is Pure Heart Volume 1 by Hyota Fujiyama. Oh, I love it. I love Hyota Fujiyama. Oh, she just... Dear Green, please, please, can we have Dear Green in print? I really want an English copy. We'll never get it. We will never get it. Ugh, she's had her day. But even more Pure Heart would be good too. But never mind. So Hyota Fujiyama, Pure Heart, I've done a video, it's lovely. If you can get a copy, I would, if I were you. So this is My Only King, and this is Lily Hoshino, and this is also, as you can see, a DMP Yaoi manga title, so not when it's in the June imprint. I should have mentioned this, there are a few titles that have the DMP rather than Juné imprint title logo at the bottom. So this is Lily Hoshino. She also had Alone in My King's Harem as another one of her titles that was published. And of course, as I've said, the other ones were by Yen Press. So My Only King kind of follows along with that theme of magic and mysticism and aristocracy and cute drawings and smexy times and fluffiness and all things Lily Hoshino. So I do recommend it, it's a nice title. This one is quite dirty and kind of beat up. It's not a great copy, I'm afraid to say. It needs a good clean, and it's a bit yellowed at the top, and I don't know if that's dirt or if it's actually just yellowing. I think it's just yellowing. Like that whole section of the top of that has been in the sun too long. So it's a bit of a shame it's not in the best quality, but I can at least give it a clean. It feels neglected. Now this is Toko Miyagi's Il Gatto sul G, if that's how you pronounce that, I have no idea. This is the third volume of a 3-volume series. I have the other 2 in my other collection, hence why I have not yet read it. Sorry. This is what happens. So yeah, I'd like to read it, but I haven't got around to it because I don't have them all together in the same place. But I really like the artwork on the front. It's very sort of swooshy and light. So I don't know. Be a good one to read in the future. This is another Shoko Takaku title. As you can see by the artwork, it's very distinct. This is Shy Intentions, and I bought it brand new. Still has its plastic on, and I just haven't got around to reading it. But now that it's out of the drawer, I might, because it looks good. It looks good. I want to read it, and yeah, I just might not put it back in. Yeah, it's one that I want to read. I really want to read it now. So this is The Dawn of Love by Kazuho Hirokawa, and if I'm honest, the artwork has kind of always put me off reading this. I haven't got round to it yet. It's about commitment, so it's kind of a little bit like Shinri Fua's Intense Rain. It seems as though someone wants more from the relationship and the other one's a bit of a man whore. But I'm assuming they get worn down in the end. That seems to be the case. So that's like the same storyline as Intense Rain, but by an artist that I don't particularly care for their art style. So yeah, one that I'm like, nah, I've read this story already, why bother reading it again? One day I will. I'll do a review. I'll compare and contrast with Intense Rain. This is Loveholic Volumes 1 and 2, and this is another Toko Kawaii title, and I gotta tell you, these volumes are thick double C. They are thick. They're actually quite chunky. I'm quite impressed. That's a lot of story for your money. And it's Toko Kawaii, so you can't say it'll be bad. It'll be good. I haven't actually read this though. I flicked through it. I was really happy to get it when I got them. They weren't too expensive and they weren't terribly hard to get, so I think you can get them fairly easily if you're looking for them. And I read the synopsis on the back and I'm like, this sounds great. Why have I not read this yet? This actually sounds very similar to the premise of A Scent of Apple Blossoms. It's about two people who don't really want to work together, but when they work together, it goes really well. So it's that whole, tension, rivals to lovers type thing. Let's just say it's Lizzie Bennet and Darcy, shall we? It's that kind of thing. And I'm all for that. Totally sounds like my kind of story. As I've said, I love Scent of Apple Blossoms, so such a good story. So yeah, this is another Toko Kawaii title I must read. Only this one I feel like I really must read this. So yeah, I might have to take this out of the drawer and read this. Now this is another 2-volume series. This is Love Recipe Volumes 1 and Volume 2. I did not get them at the same time, so I had to find one to match, and as you can see, one is in much better condition than the other. Volume 2 is in really good condition and is lovely and clean, and Volume 1 is in quite good condition except for the yellowing of the white at the top of the title. You can see that it's becoming a little bit yellowed, so I'm wondering if there's a way to fix that. Maybe it's dirt, maybe it's just gonna have to do unless I see another version in a much better condition. So yeah, Love Recipe by Kiriko Higashizato, and I have not read it. I didn't even know what it was about. And once again, I just read the synopsis and it sounds great. It sounds really good. So yeah, it's another one of my to read. My TBR is just too big. It's too big, it's overwhelming. This is Sugar Milk by Daryu Dokuro, and this is a series of short stories. The art inside is super cute actually. The artwork on the front and the back seems all of them really edgy, yet inside the artwork is kind of sweet and cute. So it doesn't quite match. I think I read part of this, but I haven't actually read it all. So I enjoyed what I read, but I haven't finished it, so I can't give you a full review on it. But it's nice from what I can see. So this is Romantic Illusions. Rei Chihiro has written this. I actually filmed this already, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to put that in because I went on a bit of a rant about mental health. Anyway, this is a story about someone who has split personality or alters, depending on how you are describing it. Someone who has 3 personalities living within them, and they meet someone who they'd like to fall in love with. Well, one of them meets someone they'd like to fall in love with. I did read this. I read it a long time ago. I thought it was an interesting premise. It's usually the same premise is usually used in BL when it comes to things like ghosts and spirits possessing bodies. So the same kind of stories are told using that as a means to achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve in a BL sense. But this one deals with actual trauma and mental health. So yeah. Take that as you want it. Live for Love by Jun Mayama, with an original story by Itsuki Sato. So this should be interesting because it has a different author to the story as it does to the artwork. So it should be interesting, but I haven't actually read it. It's about a detective agency in Nichome. Nichome is very renowned as the kind of gay district in Tokyo, Shinjuku area. So yeah, it sounds interesting from the premise, but as you can see, the artwork on the front is a bit meh, so it's never really appealed to me. So the story sounds more interesting than the artwork on the front suggests. Is Love Control, volumes 1 and 2 by Ai Hasukawa. Now these characters are quite famous. This was quite a big title in Japan. I don't think it really translated as well in popularity over into English. I read the first volume when I got it, and I still haven't read the second volume. Now there's a bit of a reason for that. I totally forgot what the story was about, so I knew I'd have to reread the first volume. And also because there is a bit of a discrepancy in terms of the quality. The first volume, as you can see, is with the pink Yaoi manga Juné label at the bottom, and the second one is when they transferred over into their newer format with it running along the spine. They also changed the quality of the paper, so the paper in Love Control Volume 1 is still quite white, it's got really good printing, there's a quality to it. The second volume is much more yellowed. Now that obviously might be because I got these separately, and someone might not have looked after their Love Control Volume 2, but for me it feels as though it's the quality of the printing. So you can tell that the quality of the paper is completely different. It's got a rougher texture, it's got a lot more, you can feel the makeup of the paper, whereas the paper they used in the first volume is so smooth, it's lovely, it feels really good. It's like a sheen silk to it rather than quite a rough, almost handmade-esque feel to. That's how low quality the paper feels in the second volume, and it's yellowed quite badly, and also the printing seems smudgy, seems like it bleeds into the paper, whereas it sits lovely on top of the paper in the first volume. So just in terms of the quality, it's a bit disappointing to have the first volume in one format in the same way as I was complaining about the little issues of the Selfish Merman one in the last video, how it crosses over from the old pink style to the new swirly spine. Quality control should be there. It should not be an issue, and you need to have that if you want to have long-term customers and people who are going to sing your praises as a company. So it's the little things, it's those little things that we might take issue with as a BL aficionado, and I would be like, I'll read it whenever, rather than actually going out of my way to sit down and read it and review it and be like, oh, this is fabulous. So yeah, I haven't even read it and I can still review it just in terms of the quality. So that's why people have maybe varying opinions about Juné manga. So this is Physical Attraction by Tatsumi Kaya. This is a series of short stories, which is probably why I haven't bothered to sit down and read it. There comes a point in time when you're just like, I'm sick of all your short stories. Give me an actual story I can sink my teeth into. It seems, I'm not taking it out on you, Physical Attraction. I'm just saying overall, there's a lot in this drawer that are collections of short stories. It's not your fault, it's just that you're not what I'm looking for just now. Okay, I'm just not looking for physical attraction only. Yeah, well, Physical Attraction is a Tatsumi Kaya title. You can tell straight away from the artwork, and as soon as I saw it I was like, oh, hot steamy glasses. Hot steamy glasses. Now that I do have a copy of, it's in my other collection, and I think that was one of the first yaoi mangas I bought. Yeah, I was really pleased to have, so I think, yeah, Tatsumi Kaya in English. I was like, yay! This is quite cheap, I can buy this, I can afford this as a poor wee student. And I was a poor wee student for a long time, so yeah, Tatsumi Kaya has a special place in my heart for her hot steamy glasses that I bought with my friend, and we sat down and read it together in a Starbucks. Oh, we had so much fun, reminiscing of just how silly and stupid it was. Oh, that we should have just done podcasts back then. That would have been funny. Yeah, just talking about BL all the time. So yeah, this title makes me want to go and reach out to my friend again, to think and reminisce and memories of friendship. So even though I haven't read it, I still like having it in my collection. So this is the final title in this drawer, and that is Yukari Hashira's Kabuki Moon. This is volume 3. Now I have I think volume 1 and volume 4 in my other collection. I originally thought I had a full set, but it turns out I am missing one of the volumes, and I think it's volume 2. Or it might be that I have volume 1, 2, and 3 and I need volume 4. I think it's volume 2 though. So, which is disappointing when you think you've got a full complete set and you have to hunt around for that completion volume. And it's always nice to have it, but you know, it's something to aim for and strive for. So as you can see, it's still in its plastic. I haven't unwrapped it. I will when I get the complete set eventually, as you know, and do a review on it. So yeah, this is the final title for this drawer. So this is everything that I have in drawer number 9 of my Juné manga collection, but as I've said before, I have quite a large collection elsewhere, so let's go through that just now. So just a precursor first, some of these photographs are not very good, so they were kind of taken not for this purpose, just for me to kind of see what I've got in my collection. So yeah, you can see I do have quite a large stack, or stacks I should say, and the way that I've kind of arranged them, it's mainly just through size. So I have the large trim size and the smaller trim size. So I do have quite a lot of Juné titles. I haven't distinguished between the Juné and the older DMP ones with the little purple at the bottom, but mostly the older ones are the larger trim and the newer ones are the ones that are slightly smaller in size, more akin to actual size in Japan. So yeah, I do have quite a lot. I'm not going to go through each of the titles the way I did in my previous videos, just because, well, there's a lot to go through, but there might be a few that I might just pick out. So for example, here I can see Does the Flower Blossom, and I absolutely love that, and unfortunately we didn't get the full series. I would absolutely love it if we could get them. It's such a good series. I love it. And of course there you can see my second volume of Only Serious About You, which I'm just so happy I've got that. So I do have quite a few duplicates as well. There's a couple that are gonna, you know, jump out at you that you're like, hey, she's got 2 of those or 3 of those. Like 7 days I have like 2 full sets of the older version. Why? That's just how it happens sometimes, you know. That's just what happens. My Castle Mango I'm so proud to have. I absolutely love them, and of course all my Twittering Birds. I think I might have 2 of each. I'm not sure. But just have a wee look. I've got like Apple and Honey. I love Apple and Honey. It's such a good one. Yeah, there's a lot of the newer ones that are smaller in size that I actually really do like. I think I prefer those ones, just because the stories seem to be a bit more engaging and they're a little bit more modern. And yeah, I just think I do have quite a lot that kind of hold a very special place in my heart, or ones that I really I'm grateful that I have. Like Mr. Minimart is one that many people mention, but also Private Teacher. I've got like the full set. That's so expensive, and then I managed to get them when the Juné manga website opened up, and it was like buy. I literally had to have it. And then of course, probably my absolute favorite, Even So I Will Love You Tenderly. And I just think that some of these titles they just have such a, you know, connection with me, and I just love them so much. So some of these I really do appreciate having in print form, or I was just lucky enough to get. I do think that some of the older ones, I'm not entirely sure if I love them as much. There's definitely a few that some that I haven't even bothered reading yet. So from these larger trim ones, or the older ones, I initially just stacked them up so I could see what I had, and then I went through to see if I had duplicates, and surprise surprise, I had loads of duplicates, of course, just maybe not to the Desert Prince kind of level. But yeah, it was good to kind of go through them and try and actually get the ones that were in sets. So for example, here I can see that there is a Passion there, and I knew that that was one that I was really focusing on trying to complete, because there's 4 volumes and I wanted to make sure I had them. So yeah, I kind of went through them all. and then started sorting them out and trying to see if I had more than one copy of some of these. Once I'd done that, I could then start to see if I had duplicates. So here I can see I have duplicates of Love Recipe, Selfish Mr. Mermaid, and Loveholic. I have those in my collection here, and obviously Our Kingdom as well. They're all duplicates too. One that isn't there is Kabuki, and that's Volume 1 and Volume 4, and I can see that with my other collection I'm missing one volume, and that's Volume 2, so I think that's a little bit more difficult to get hold of, and it might be one that I take a few years to get. I also have put my passion together so I could see those were the 3 volumes, and I finally was able to get Volume 4, so I now have the complete set. The one below it that says Love Code, that is a set as well with 4, and I think I'm still missing 1. So yeah, I've got some more there. Oh, you can just see peeking through. Oh, although Pathos is there, and All Nippon Airline. I just love that. It's one of the best titles for a manga. Anal. But yeah, you can just see Maiden Rose there peeking through. I absolutely love Maiden Rose. It's the tailoring on those costumes is just fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Other ones that you can see, like In the Walnut, which is another Toko Kawaii title that I need to finish reading. It's all about art collectors and things like that. Some really great titles. So that J-Boy one as well, that was like supposed to be their foray into actually seeing if we would purchase a huge big chunky magazine style, which is exactly how it looks when you buy the monthly magazines in Japan. So for me it's really nice to have that in English because I have so many in Japanese. I mean, so many in Japanese. I have not shown my Opera or Trey CL collection at all, and oh my goodness, it's just ridiculous. So I have so many titles, and you know, a lot of them I have read, some of them I have not, but some of them I've read and I've forgotten what they're all about. Some of them I have read and I don't remember if they were good or not, and a very few I can say, oh my goodness, I love this one, this is a brilliant title, you should totally read it. So and when I'm looking at this as a collection, you might be seeing things and going, oh, that's great, oh, I've got that, oh, I've got that, oh, I've got that. And when I'm looking at it, all I'm thinking is, oh, I don't have this yet. And oh, there's that one missing. And oh, that person's other work I don't have. And yeah, it's not great. I kind of feel like I must complete the set. This is my sets that aren't complete. So there, the very last one, I can see artwork, and it makes me think, oh, I don't have electric hands and I don't have colour yet, and I thought I had both of those and I don't, so it's annoying. So yeah, that's my collection. There's a lot of titles, but yeah, I need to really kind of go through them and store them properly and read them all. So that is everything in drawer number 9 for my Behind Closed Drawers BL Collection Tour series. There's quite a lot of titles in here that I haven't read, and there's quite a lot of titles in my other collection that I haven't read. You might be surprised about how many titles I have altogether, but it's quite a lot. And so one day it would be nice to be able to have them all up on shelves and organised. One day that will happen. There's still so much more for me to read, and that's what's been so eye-opening about this endeavour, is to see that, one, I have quite a lot of titles. It's really shocking to go through them all and to be like, oh yeah, that's one I've read, oh yeah, that's one I haven't. And the haven't read, my TBR, is just so big, it's so huge. I mean, I joked earlier that it's just too big, my TBR is too big. It really feels like it. It feels as though it's overwhelming, and I shouldn't keep collecting until I've read through some. Someone mentioned about tsundoku, is that what it's called when you buy too much and you don't actually read them? But I am a collector as well as a reader, so in terms of the collection I want to collect, but in terms of a reader I do want to sit down and read these at some point. So yeah, it's been really eye-opening. It's been a good experience. Thanks for coming along for the journey with me. I mean, this is a huge undertaking, and I do rabbit on a lot, so if you've stuck around for my videos, thank you so much. You deserve a huge big star sticker. I'm sending you one. Mwah. It's been good to go through this and really see where my priorities are. I have come to the conclusion that I do want to complete series, but also there are a lot of new titles being published that I'm kind of more interested in. There's a lot more new titles that I'd maybe like to spend my money on. So maybe for the next few months I don't focus on acquiring older titles unless they're ones I really, really want, like Yamada Yugi ones. I'd like more Yamada Yugi. Or some of the new ones, or fairly recently published ones from Sublime and Seven Seas. They seem to be ones that I'm really interested in. Even the Tokyopop ones seem really good too, so yeah, I'm interested in the new offerings from the publishers on the market just now, and obviously looking to increase my collection. But yeah, it's been exhausting, if I'm honest. This is exhausting, going through everything. It does give me a little bit like heart palpitations and anxiety thinking about how much I have and how much I haven't read yet. So if I'm talking about review videos, there are plenty of content here if I could just actually sit down and read them. So yeah, this is my June manga. Hope you enjoyed it. This has been my behind closed drawers BL collection tour. Thanks for coming along. Take care of yourselves. Bye.